Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is one more follow along tutorial for you guys of this beautiful drawing in Autodesk Sketchbook, which is a free app. You can download it from Play Store or App Store. For download links, please check the description, or you can go to the Play Store or App Store and just type on Autodesk Sketchbook to download it. I have also done some basics tutorial for Autodesk Sketchbook for beginners. In case you're new to this app, you can check that out. I'll leave the link down in the description as well. And I have done few more drawing tutorials in this app, so you can check that as well. And if you're new here and you're watching this video for the first time, welcome, and please do subscribe to my channel. Make sure to watch the full video. I have mentioned many tips and tricks in between. Let's start with opening the Autodesk Sketchbook app. You all know this is how the app looks like. So first I have opened a screen size canvas for drawing this. You can set the value using going to the new sketch and setting the width and height of the canvas, or you can use some of the preset values which is available there. I'm just gonna use the screen size canvas. I'm gonna keep the background blue, and on the first layer I'm gonna use the felt pen, which is from the basic brush set, and draw the outline of the fish. And using the fill color option, I'm gonna fill the color and create another layer. And now I'm gonna use the inking pen. This pen will change its thickness depending on the pressure you give. So you have to make sure you close the shape before filling the color. I'm gonna use the soft airbrush. This soft airbrush, you can change the brush type into eraser. And since it is an eraser mode, it is gonna be erasing this. Now for this fins effect, first row I'm gonna be doing it single time. And now you can see the difference, and I'm gonna be erasing the extra out of that using the hard eraser. Now back to the soft airbrush. So here I did once, and here I'm gonna do the erasing twice, and I'm gonna increase the size even more and do it more times. So this will make it look translucent. And just create a new layer on top of it using the inking pen and size 7 and white color. I'm gonna be drawing the outline. You can draw it thick and thin. Like if you give a lot of pressure, it will make thick lines, and if you give less pressure, it will make thin lines. Now after finishing this, we are gonna erase this as well. So go to the soft airbrush again. The flow is 100%, and the size you can change according to the drawing. And I'm gonna just erase this from the bottom up. Like you need to use this motion so that it is a little thicker there and lighter towards the end. Create a new layer. So here I'm gonna just hide this layer so that I can see this clearly. Hold and drag it to the bottom so that the fish comes on top of it. Now fill the color and use the soft airbrush and make it translucent just like we did before. Single time along the top and multiple times towards the end so that it looks more realistic. Now create a layer on top of it and use the inking pen again and draw the outline just like before, thick and thin lines. Now again to the soft airbrush and make it a little lighter. So in case you want to find out which layer you are in, you just use the hide and unhide here. Using this, you can find out which layer you are working. Since it's all white, you won't be able to see it. So I use this method. I'll create a layer just till below the fish. This is the fish body. So below the fish body, I'm gonna now draw one more big fin. Now let's use the soft airbrush, which is in the eraser setting again, just to remind you. There we go, and create one more layer on top of it. Use the inking pen. You can give all same size lines as well. It doesn't matter what size you give. Now let's erase this as well using the soft airbrush. So let's merge these fins together. Merge them together so that they stay in one layer. I'm just making sure it is the same. Merged this one, last tail fin, merge this. So we have the tail fin here, the fish body here, the top fins, the middle fins. Now before we draw one more fin on top of this fish, let us finish the fish's body. So for that, you can either create a new layer on top of it, or you can draw it on the same layer as well. I'm gonna create a new layer on top of this fish's body, and use the felt tip pen and use a nice orange color. Use it and draw the design on the fish's body. Now you need to add a layer below the fish body and use white color. Just draw a little extensions in near its mouth. Draw the eyes using black. Use the hard eraser. Just erase it like this so that it looks even real, and add a tiny little white dot. I want to make one more fish in full orange color, so I'm gonna be just duplicating this layer and hiding it, which will be helpful later. I have locked the transparency using the lock here, and I'm using the camo from the basic brush set, and I'm gonna be using a little bit of gray. Keep the camo brush set, the setting brush type as standard, and I have locked the transparency and the opacity less to 75%, size of the brush to 82. And use the mild pink. I'm gonna use a black color and reduce the opacity. Use the camo and use a little darker shade of the orange which we have used. Just tap on that and bring the thing to the little darker side lower. Also white. Now can you see the texture we have got in the fish's body? I'm gonna create a layer below the eyes and use the airbrush, flow airbrush. Use black. I have reduced the opacity to 44. Shadow near the eyes. After this, let's create the top fin. I'm creating a new layer on top of this using the inking pen, white color. Let me create a layer below that fins using the flow airbrush and gray color. And now I'm going to merge the fins and the shadow, and let us use the transform tool. Let me use the distort and move it. Now we have finished the koi fish. I'm gonna bring that body of the fish extra which we hid here to the down. We have saved one layer, you remember that one, and fill the color orange to this. And then I'm gonna now duplicate the fins we have here. Now let me duplicate this and bring it over to this fish. Similarly, the other parts as well, duplicate and move that using the transform. Now on top of this, let's draw the eyes using the black. And for the body, I'm gonna just lock the transparency and go to the camo brush and go to white, reduce the opacity, and give the shade on the center so that it makes it look shiny. Reduce the size of the brush and increase opacity to define any fine points. And since it is fully orange, I'm just gonna give a little shade of orange to it using the flow airbrush. Lock the transparency and give a little shade of orange on top. There we go. So there we go, we have two fishes now. Now let's go ahead and merge them. So from here, this is this fish, this part from this to below. So I'm gonna start merging from here, single merge every time so that I don't miss anything. Merge, merge. So now we have one single fish. Now let us start merging this fish into a single layer. Merge. So now we have two layers and two different fishes. So I'm gonna create one more of it and duplicate that. So before that, let us fix their spots. So for the water effect, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a layer on top of this, and I'm gonna use to go to the library and go down. There is a glow brush where you'll find the glow wispy. You can use whichever you like. I'm gonna go with the Glow Wispy 2 and use white color. Increase the size and do like this. Just tap and hold. As you can see, this is how it looks. You can change the blending to the soft glow and create a layer below this and give a little bit of watery texture. I'm gonna use the dotted texture effect and keep it a little big, opacity low. And now to create a little shadow to our fishes, I'm gonna duplicate each fish and make the bottom layer, go to the HSL setting and make them dark. Keep the lightness to the -100 and it becomes black, as you can see, and also reduce the opacity to 10 or 11. And now go to the transform and distort, and if you move it a little bit, you will get the shadow. So let's do this similarly to these two fishes as well. You can merge these two if you like and make it one again. Now duplicate, go to the HSL of the bottom one and reduce the lightness to -100 and use the transform tool and distort, and just move it a little bit. And we are done. Let's merge this. Can you see the shadows here? Now there we have our fishes. And for creating the lily pads, I'm gonna create a new layer on top of everything. And on this, using the felt pen and use a green. I'm gonna use 3 different shades of green. First a lighter one, which will be the bottom. I'm just gonna use the oval tool and draw a circle here and fill the color. Create one more layer and use a little darker green and use the oval. Create a circle, fill the color. I'm gonna move it a little bit and create a layer in between these two and a slightly different color and use the oval again. Now use the eraser, hard eraser, and go to the lines. Draw a line like this and just erase the remaining so that it looks like that leaf, and go to the next layer, same way. We can give them the details. So let's go to the bottom one first and use the flow airbrush. Use the black color and use it to draw the veins of the lily pad. So after doing this, increase the size of the brush, decrease the opacity. So after doing this, we have 3 lily pads, and let us create a layer on below each leaf like this and use it to give a little shadow to the leaves. So using the same flow airbrush, the opacity to 60 and the size a little big to 50. Using the same black, I'm gonna draw the shadow to this leaf on the layer below the leaf. So So just like this, do it along border so that it looks more like a shadow, like that, and reduce the opacity, and now merge them. Now similarly to this lily pad. And also you can change the color of the leaf if you feel there is not much difference. You can use the hue and change the color a little bit, increase the saturation or lightness, and adjust the color in case you want to change it in between. Now to the last big one. You can also duplicate it and move it to the other side of the pond. Now after drawing the leaves, I want to create a little waves around the fish. So create a layer on top of the fish. All the fish is like one layer on top of each fish. So to this fish I'm going to use the inking pen, reduce the opacity and increase the size. Now we have a little wavy patterns around the fish so that it looks like they are swimming. Create a layer on top of everything and use the felt pen. I'm going to show an easy way to draw the lily pad. Let's draw a flower right here. I'm going to use white color only. I'm going to draw a white lily first. So draw one petal and fill the color. What you can do is copy and paste it in the same layer, and it will automatically open the transform tool, which will help you to adjust the petal. So similarly, copy and paste like that, copy, paste and flip it like this, and then you can finish the petals by drawing. There we have our lily's base. So what you're gonna do is duplicate this layer and transform it and make it look a little smaller and bring it like this, and again duplicate. So after duplicating the layer and transforming the petals, just create a layer in between them. Use the flow airbrush and black color, reduce the opacity and size big. Do this in the middle like this, along the petals corners, so it gives you the definition of the other layer. And now reduce the opacity to where you feel it's okay. Now duplicate this layer again and create a layer in between. Move the petal, make it a little smaller like this, and now duplicate the bottom layer again, move it along this side to create one more later. I'm going to create little tiny dots using yellow. So create a layer below the pollens we have drawn right now, and use the technical pen and a little darker shade of that yellow. Draw tiny lines from the pollens to the center of the flower. There we have our lily. Let me merge these and make one single lily flower. Merge them all together, and now you can duplicate them and move wherever you like. I'm going to use this petal to be pink one, a little lighter pink. I'm going to fill the color. Now let me do the same thing which I did for this, making this lily. So now we have two different beautiful colored lilies. Now let me just keep this follicle separate and this flower separate. I'm gonna duplicate this flower and then move it over here. Let me make it a little bigger, and you can just change the color of it using the HSL. Change the hue and make it entirely a different color, and also this, duplicate this, bring it over there. So there we go. Like that you can now duplicate and create more flowers like this. So we have all the lily leaves and this on one layer. Now above this leaves layer, create one more layer and use white. Using the oval style, draw tiny ovals, fill the color, and now using the soft airbrush which is in the eraser setting as we always used, erase it like this, along the middle, towards the end like this, and create a layer on bottom of this and use the flow airbrush. Use grey color and give a little shadow. And now you can change the opacity, adjust the opacity to whatever you like. I created a layer on top of this droplets, and using the felt pen and white color so that it looks like tiny little water droplets on the leaf. Now we can duplicate this as well, you don't have to draw it again. I'm going to use the felt pen and black color and create a layer below all the layers, and then let's start drawing little pebbles here. Fill the colors. Let's duplicate this, and I'm going to go to the HSL adjustment and increase the lightness of the pebbles, and then move them a little bit away from this, flip it and change the direction. You can make them bigger or smaller. So after finishing, it will look somewhat like this. I'm gonna create a little water effect using the flow airbrush, opacity less and the size to the highest, using white. Now after this, let's lock the transparency of the pebbles and use the charcoal brush. First one, since it is the darkest black, we are going to give a little gray dot effects on this, like this. Let me hide the other rocks so that we see this clearly. Now like this. So locking the transparency. I'm gonna add my signature. So So that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned something new, if you really liked the video, please drop a like. If you have any doubts about this drawing or anything related to Autodesk Sketchbook, please feel free to leave a comment in the video. I'll make sure to get back to you as soon as possible. In case you recreate this drawing using my tutorial, please feel free to tag me on Instagram, or even you can mail it to me to this mail ID. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't. See you soon in my next video. Bye.